On today's show, the Clippers draft a backup big with the 30th pick by the name of Yanic Conan Niederhauser. Shocked everyone in the Clippers watch party and across the internet. Going to be talking about all we need to know about the newest Clipper and what the front office was thinking with this one. Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On. We got a new Clipper.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and finished my 20th season as a Clipper fan just recently. Been covering the team for 5 years on my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, and 3 years right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Hit the notification bell to help us get up to 8,000 subscribers. And of course, you can follow and listen wherever you get your podcasts. On today's episode, it's going to be everything you need to know about Yanic Conan Niederhauser, the newest LA Clipper from Switzerland. Went to Northern Illinois for 2 years, and then played for Penn State last season. We're going to be talking about how shocking this was, what Lawrence Frank said immediately to the crowd that was at the draft party, explaining the rationale for the pick right after it happened. So we're going to be talking about everything. So first off, the Clippers actually hosted a draft party, and I was shocked that they were doing this. I thought it was kind of just like promotional to get people to sign up for season tickets, but it was just a nice gathering, and it also just goes to show how awesome it is that we can have these things, and we do have these things, from the watch parties to this type of stuff. It's a sense of camaraderie, and it was at the Intuit Dome, but it's a sense of, like, this building is ours. We can literally do whatever we want. We can host whatever we want. It's just an amazing feeling, because right now at the Staples Center, we can never do something like that because the Sparks have their season. So it's just an amazing feeling. Now, when we were at the 30th pick, I think everybody in the room was in agreement. All right, if we can't get, I've been mentioning guys like Bobby Portis, Clint Capella, backup bigs. But what better way to solve the backup big problem than to find someone in the draft that is better than a Drew Eubanks that can just come right in? And look, this is the reality, right? Is there going to be a backup big in the late first round or second round that's good enough to be a rotation player on a championship team? I can't remember the last time I've seen a backup big that's a rookie seem ready to be on a championship rotation. The one I think of right off the top of my head is Derek Lively last year with the Dallas Mavericks. I thought he looked as ready in a rookie season as you could for a big. Because, as a big man, you gotta, it's such a big responsibility when you're talking about a championship team. You're talking about a guy that's supposed to protect the rim, set good screens for all your guards, roll hard, make good decisions in the rolls, have good hands, be coordinated at the NBA level. When we're talking championship team, when we're talking growing pains, yeah, that could be a guy that, a rotation big on a team that's a play-in team or not even making the play-in. But when we're talking about a team with championship aspirations, which, Lawrence Frank even said, our goal is a championship. Now, you could say that every GM would say that, but I don't think the Washington Wizards general manager is saying our goal is to win a championship next year. I think he would say our goal is to win a championship long term. Lawrence Frank is emphasizing the short term because we have Kawhi Leonard and James Harden on the team. He even went as far as to say we hope James Harden is here and he wins championships with the Clippers after the press conference. And we're going to be talking more about the post. Like, he spoke in front of the fans, but then he spoke to the media. So we're going to be talking to one of our beat writers on the Friday show to talk about what he said and to go, kind of break down his comments. But Yanic Conan Niederhauser, we all wanted a backup big. I'm hoping for a backup big because my point I was going to make was, look, real fans, I shouldn't say real fans. I don't want to say it that way. Fans that are a little more realistic, I should say, think that we're not going to win a championship next year, so let's get a big that we can slot in and develop. But then there's also fans that think we can win a championship and think that a rookie could be, the solution off the bench to a championship rotation. But those are very optimistic fans, in my opinion. But that's fine. Moral of the story, if we can get a backup big that's a rookie with this 30th pick that can play right away, that is the home run. So the two names that were on the board that everybody thought we were going to pick were Maxime Reynaud who's French, played 4 years at Stanford and averaged 20 points, 11 rebounds last year for the Cardinal on 47, 35, 77 splits. And then you have Ryan Kalkbrenner from Creighton, who played 5 years of college ball, is 7'1", averaged 19, 9, and 3 blocks a game last year on 65, 34, 68 shooting splits. So those are the two guys that were there. Two white guys, by the way, and I mentioned that only because there was that running joke of when we had Zoo, Plumlee, Harden. Well, Hartenstein's apparently, like, he's black, apparently half black or the quarter, I don't remember. And then we had, what's his name? Oh, Daniel Tice. We were like, yeah, the Clippers haven't had a black center in a while, and I made the joke when we got Mo Bamba that we had one, but we haven't had like an athletic rim running lob threat in quite some time. And I saw some highlights of Max, and I'm not gonna lie and tell you that I've watched Yanic, Maxime, or Ryan Kalkbrenner play a full game. I was more in the loop with women's college basketball this past season than men's, so I did not watch them play at all. So I'm not gonna lie here and act like I've seen them all play. You have all these people online that when teams make a pick, they're like, oh, I know so much about this guy because they're reading mock drafts and watching some highlights. That's not how this works. That's not how I evaluate talent. You got to watch full games. I think highlights can show you some ability, the peak of what they could be. And I think with Maxime Reynaud, I saw some athletic ability, not the stereotypical like unathletic white guy, as they would say in the NBA. He was attacking closeouts on the perimeter and dunking very emphatically. Kalkbrenner had some good stuff as well, but I know Kalkbrenner's a good rim protector. That's what he had over Reynaud. I think Reynaud was listed in the ESPN mock draft. They had Reynaud at 28, and then they had Kalkbrenner 29, and then Yanic 33. So all around the same range. So I guess it wasn't a completely shocking pick. I saw some people say that Yanic was like in the 50s on some mock drafts, but that just comes down to who's writing the articles and who's making the mock draft list. As someone who had no opinion on the three, I'm going to just hope for the best, right? So I can't say that, oh, we should have picked Maxime Reynaud. We should have picked Ryan Kalkbrenner. What they were going for was clearly, I know it sounds stereotypical, and that's why I brought up the white center point. I think they're going for an athlete. I think they're going for, and with Yanic, I saw some of the highlights. This guy is a legit 7 feet tall. He looks like he has a huge wingspan. Let me go to what Law Murray, because he posted some of his measurables on Twitter last night. Shout out to our boy Law. But he is listed at this: 33.5-inch standing vertical, 37-inch max vert at 6'11", 243 pounds, 7'3" wingspan, and this is one thing I loved. He led the Big Ten in blocks last season. That is something to note. You lead a conference in blocks, a good conference at that, with 2.3 blocks a game. And I saw, and Lawrence Frank said it after when they asked him questions, we wanted to go out and get a rim-running vertical lob threat that can run the floor. Yes, he looks extremely raw. He had some moments in his highlights of good footwork, but I'm happy with it. I'm happy with just the sense of like what their idea is. Now, I haven't seen him play. We'll see if Maxime Reynaud or Ryan Kalkbrenner end up being better. I talked to my friend Asher about it, who I had on the show a couple of times early days. He used to be the host of Locked On Badgers. And he said before that he thinks we're going to go with either Reynaud or Kalk. But then he said, I've barely watched this guy about Yanic Conan. And he said he looks like quite an interesting athlete, certainly a better raw athlete than Kalk or Reynaud. So, and that's exactly what Lawrence Frank kind of implied. They wanted an athletic big, someone that can throw the ball up to the sky. It reminds him of, he even used the names Derek Lively and DeAndre Jordan. If he were to use player comp, said there's some similarities to those guys. So in theory, this sounds like it's pretty good. Like, we will see about, about Yanic. I mean, I'm rooting for him all the way. Absolutely all the way. In terms of wingspan, Ryan Kalkbrenner had a 7'6" wingspan compared to Yanic's 7'3". He listed at 257, Kalkbrenner, compared to Yanic, which Law Murray listed at 243. So, yeah, we'll see if that ends up being the right pick. As far as Reynaud, he's listed at a 7'1" and a quarter wingspan, having the 7'3" wingspan. Having the 7'3" wingspan with Yanic gives him the edge there. And I think the vertical leap, I think, is going to be something with Yanic that he has over those guys. So Yanic last year, he started all 29 games for Penn State. He's the first ever Penn State player to be drafted in the first round, which is awesome. He has Swiss roots. So that's, why the name is, foreign sounding. Switzerland, that is his upbringing or nationality. And last year, he averaged 12.9 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, 2 blocks a game on 61% from the field. He shot, if you're wondering if he's a stretch big, because it looked like Reynaud and Kalk had some stretchability, he only shot 0.4 threes a game on average and shot 9%. So he's not a stretch big. And he shot 66% from the foul line. So clearly athletic, rim roller, run the floor, block shots emphatically. 6 rebounds a game, given he played 25 minutes out of 40, is a little questionable. But I think, and 2 of those, like 33% of the rebounds he averaged were offensive rebounds. So I'm just wondering, does he box out enough? Does he have good positional awareness? We'll see. We'll just have to see. But I'm rooting for him to be the backup big. Now, coming up, can he really be the backup big? Was he picked with the intention of being Zoo's backup big next year? But overall, pretty shocking pick. Just considering he was a little lower than people thought, but I'm happy about it. The concept is to get a rim runner, a vertical threat, get some young athleticism, and I like the direction that we went with. I got to tell you a little something about Wayfair. There's nothing like stepping into your own outdoor space and feeling like you've escaped to a personal oasis. If you are wanting to update your patio this season, or honestly your living room, because we have some stuff from Wayfair that we use from the new apartment I just moved into that I'm in right now, and Wayfair really helped us, make it our own. Wayfair has everything you need to level up your outdoor space: conversation sets, outdoor bars, big chairs, even the perfect string lights to set the vibe. It's like giving your backyard that resort feel without the resort price tag. What's your style? The delivery was free, fast, and totally hassle-free, even with larger items. Now, whether I'm hosting friends or just unwinding with a book, it genuinely feels like my own private retreat. Don't wait. Make your outdoor space your dream oasis today with Wayfair and enjoy it all summer long. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop a huge outdoor selection. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. All right. So, Yanic Conan Niederhauser. That's going to take some getting used to remember that name off the top of my head. I'll remember Yanic. I'm just going to keep referring to him as Yanic. The Swiss sensation, hopefully, the 30th pick in the draft, the first rounder in Penn State history, a true 7-footer, and hopefully better than the undersized Drew Eubanks. Now, the question is, will the Clippers have him be the backup next year? So this has been the whole thing, and I'm going to release this episode as well this week. Probably either a double whammy Thursday or a double whammy Friday. The thing with the Clippers is we've been drafting late in the first round for the better part of 15 years now. And those guys never end up breaking into a rotation that's like 1 or 2 pieces away, they think, from winning a title. Because it's hard to be a young player on a championship rotation. And I think everyone always says, well, they need a chance to develop. Well, here's the thing. If they're going to develop and get extended burn, is this guy an NBA player minutes? Not, can this guy help Chris Paul and Blake Griffin or, I almost said LeBron, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and James Harden win a title right now? The Christian Browns of the world. That's rare. He comes into a rotation right away and they win a title. The Celtics. I mean, you look at the 2024 Celtics. How many guys were necessarily young players that were like rookies or sophomores? Let's just say rookies, because that's what we're talking about right now, a rookie. There was no rookie on the roster besides Drew Peterson and Jordan Walsh? Let me know how many minutes they played. I honestly want to keep doing this. Let's just see. Because there are people that say, oh, Ty Lue doesn't give him a chance. And personally, I do think Ty Lue could be better about playing young players. I do. But how many of these young players that you're making a case for should have played? Because Terrence Mann and Amir Coffey got run because they were ready. I don't know if Brandon Boston, looking back, well, Brandon Boston wasn't ready for that kind. Like we didn't really need another on-ball scorer like that. But Brandon Boston, Jordan Miller, Kobe Brown, Jay Scrubb, these guys, Cabin Gale, Oturu, were they good picks? Probably not. Were they ready? But we'll see about Jordan Miller and Kobe Brown. But are they ready? Were they ready? They haven't proven so on that kind of team. 2022 Warriors. Who are rookies? Jonathan Kuminga. How many minutes did Jonathan Kuminga average in the playoffs? 9. He didn't even play every game, so he wasn't really a part of that. Jonathan Kuminga wasn't getting minutes like that. Moses Moody, same thing. They weren't really getting minutes like that. But I will say that Steve Kerr did find a way to play them throughout the course of the season here and there. However, it's just, I don't know. I think, because during the season, let's see, because that's a good example, right? If someone wants to counter argument me there with Yanic, because what Lawrence Frank said after the press, or after he made the pick to the media was, or no, he said it to us. And I have, by the way, I took a whole vlog of my experience. I asked fans about the OKC winning the title. I asked fans about what they think about the pick, what we should do. Got Lauren Rosen in there, which was great. And I filmed Ty Lue's full interview, which I'm going to be making an episode on. His full interview that told us a lot. I was surprised he actually got in depth about why we lost the series to Denver and all that. Very interesting stuff. And he confirmed several things I said on this show. So we'll talk about that in another episode. But if you want to listen to that, you can go to my Dime Dropper YouTube and Lawrence Frank's comments as well. So, but what Lawrence said was, in due time, he could be someone, and talking about Yanic, in due time, he could be someone that we can have as a great compliment to Ivica Zubac and catch lobs from James Harden, essentially. So, in due time, I mean, and he compared him to Clint Capella in those moments. We saw Harden's success with Clint Capella, another Swiss center. But, besides the fact, he also said that he was nursing an ankle injury during pre-draft, which is like not the best thing you want to hear. He also said that Yanic's not expected to shoot threes as a rookie, but could get there by year 2 because they like his mechanics. Trent Redden said he's still learning how to play with his frame. He's 22 years old, by the way. I can't believe I haven't mentioned that. Sorry. He's 22. So, again, we're going with an older player, an older college player, I should say. And we keep doing that. And those guys could be NBA ready, more NBA ready, I should say, but we don't actually try them out. So, they're not, I guess. But anyway, he also said that this was a moment where we thought the best available player also fit our needs. I saw people talking about Fleming. Again, I haven't seen him play, but apparently everybody said he was a better player. So we'll just have to see on that. Lawrence Frank, that's what he said to us. He said it's a positional need, and we thought he was the best available player. But anyway, so he was talking about in due time. That doesn't sound like he's ready yet. He sounds very raw, which means for all the fans that say, oh, we want him to be the backup next year, it's probably not going to happen. We're probably going to make him the third string and try to go out and get like a Clint Capella and or someone like that. And then we'll have him play, Yanic play every time one of those Zoo or that, whoever our backup is gets injured. So, is he going to be Zoo's backup next year? I wouldn't bet my money on it based on the way that the front office has been. I'm sorry, the coaching staff has been, and how we really haven't hit on those picks in terms of being NBA-ready guys, and how rare it is. How rare it is. This team lost in 7 games to a team that lost to the champion in 7 games. So, theoretically, we're not that far away if you want to go by that logic. But we need to have NBA-ready guys, and I don't know if Yanic is going to be ready to play in the playoffs as Zoo's backup, the number one. But yeah, actually going back to the Kuminga comment I made, he played 70 games throughout the course of the 2022 season. averaging 17 minutes and starting 12 of those games. Moses Moody played 12 minutes a game and played in 52 games, but they weren't consistent parts of the rotation. Klay Thompson missed 50 games, and Draymond Green only played 46 games. So they had a lot of injuries, but I will say they were one example where they kind of got him a little ready. But however, Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody haven't really turned into anything for them, per se. So I don't know if that's a great example. That's probably the best example I'm going to find, because you go to the Milwaukee Bucks of 2021. I want to just keep doing this for a couple just to prove a point. But that's the best example, was Kuminga and Moody getting spot minutes here and there in games that certain guys were injured, and they ended up at least being trusted more the following year. So they tried developing them. But then, see, here's the thing, though. I actually don't think it's a good example, because the Warriors got in trouble with the 2 timeline thing. Oh, are we going all in for Steph? Are we developing these young guys? It's not going to work. So that's the exact same thing that the Clippers know is a thing. We could let Jordan Miller and Trenton Flowers and all these guys run away with things. We're not going to be good. You know what I'm saying? If we try to put them in, they might mess up what Harden and Kawhi want to do. Milwaukee Bucks. Mamadi Diakite. He's not even in the league anymore, I don't think. Sam Merrill. I didn't even know he played for the Bucks. He's on the Cavs. Jordan Nwora. These were the rookies. Those were the rookies. Were there any rookies in the Lakers rotation in 2020? I'll save you some time. There was not one. Not one. THT wasn't in the rotation. How many rookies were in the Raptors rotation in 2019? 0. It doesn't happen much. So, but here's the thing. My point is, we're not going to win the championship, so let's play him. That's my whole thing. We're not going to win the championship, so let's try and play him. It's a backup big. He gets 10 minutes a game. How about if he's super awful, like all his minutes are just complete net negative, then fine. Drew Eubanks, or we'll pick up someone else. But that's my thing. They don't want to take that gamble, so I don't expect him to be the backup. But coming up, going to talk a little bit more about pros and like my concerns and my concerns with this pick, why Lawrence Frank and crew could get criticized if it doesn't go well, and the things I'm looking forward to about Yanic. I got to tell you a little something about Skiims. When I found out Skiims was making underwear for men, I was intrigued. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try. And let me tell you, it lives up to the hype. I've always had issues with underwear, fit, comfort, whatever it was, just trying to find the style that suits me best. And Skiims changed all of that. Their men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. I tried the Skiims boxer briefs, and I'm hooked. These are perfect for my active lifestyle, given that I'm always exercising to some degree or demonstrating things with the kids when I'm coaching and whatnot. Shop Skiims Men's, or just have to, bust their ass real quick. Shop Skiims Men's at skims.com. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select Locked On Clippers in the drop-down menu that follows. That's Skiims. All right, so Yanic Conan Niederhauser, the Swiss sensation, the newest Clipper. I'm excited about him. Let me talk about the pros first. I'm really excited to have a guy that looks that athletic. If you look at the highlights, I mean, he is throwing it down with authority. You know what I'm saying? Going up in the air for lobs. I think he could be really good next to Harden in minutes that he plays with him. I really do. How many will he get? I'm not sure. So I'm excited about his upside. I want him to be the backup center because, just play young players. I want to look. Here's my thing. We're never going to know if these guys are great until they get extended burn. And I know that might come at the expense of losing regular season games. But I'm willing to do it because I'm already looking at the next era. I just think this era is fool's gold. We can be competitive and be very good. And notice Lawrence Frank, and I'll talk about this with Joey. Lawrence Frank keeps saying competitive. He's not saying we can win a championship with this team anymore. He keeps saying, like he did in 2024 when we got Harden. He's saying we can be very competitive. There's avenues we can be very competitive. There's just too many factors, with Kawhi's health and the age of our team. And he's not dumb. I think he knows that we're a little old. So in terms of Yanic, I'm excited about him. because of his athleticism, the raw measurables. I think he had some moments of good footwork in those clips where I'm like, okay, there might be something there. Could he do that against NBA level defenders in isolation? I don't know. Maybe over time. Now, this is stuff. Now, the cons, I mean, we'll see how Reynaud and Kalkbrenner and Fleming pan out, because if they are clearly better than Yanic, then the Clippers are going to get criticized again for missing on, a late first round pick. Something that the Clippers seem to be very consistent about is talking about high character guys, these kind of like talking about their personalities. They talked about he can speak multiple languages, all that, which a lot of Europeans can do. But here's my thing. They always talk about high character rookies and stuff like that, but then they went out on a limb and got guys like Kevin Porter and, Kai Jones didn't do anything wrong, but he didn't have the best reputation. And by the way, how different is the stuff that we're saying about Yanic different from Kai Jones? I heard that Kai Jones, IQ-wise, could not really process things, and that's part of why he was sacrificed. But, man, he had so much raw athleticism that I was down to see him play over Mo Bamba. I think he should have gotten more of a chance. But maybe Yanic is like the double take on trying to get, or like they're trying to correct the Kai Jones situation and have a guy like that. So maybe that's what they're going for. But the age and high character thing, I just think it's funny that they always say these things. I'm not saying they're not true, but they always say these things, and then we try to go out and be like a rehab center. I mean, was Marcus Morris a high character guy? I don't know. No disrespect to Mook, though, who I think was a great Clipper, and I never got to meet or anything like that or interact with, but like he was awesome, all much respect. And then we always go for these older guys, and I'm very pro like multiple years of college basketball. But in today's society, the reason why guys are playing multiple years of college basketball is because people think they're not good enough to be NBA players right away or don't have as much upside, right? So the Jalen Brunsons of the world that played multiple years and stuff, those are not very common anymore. I think they're probably more fundamentally sound, like a Terrence Mann, you know what I'm saying? Like he has a great understanding of cutting, his IQ for a guy coming straight out of the league was very high, which is why he got in those, lineups and played those minutes that he did in the conference finals by year 2. But not everybody is, most guys that are coming in that are multiple years of college aren't the highest prospects. So we keep going for those guys instead of going for like the young, raw, highest upside guys. So I don't know. The guy at VP of Scouting, Jason Giambetti, talked about, the process of how things go with scouting, how young they start looking at players, starting to go to their high school games as early as their sophomore years of high school. There's so many cooks in the kitchen, right? It's not all down to Lawrence Frank with the picks. And because there's so many scouts, so many people, Trent Redden involved. There's so many guys involved. Like, who knows who has the strongest weight on our pick yesterday? Like, is it Lawrence Frank? How much time? I saw Lawrence Frank at Pepperdine watching Max Lewis a couple years ago, and he told me I'm here for Max Lewis. So, Lawrence Frank does some scouting too. But there's always Clipper scouts. There was always Clipper scouts at Pepperdine games, I remember, to see both teams. So our scouting department has to be questioned a little bit. I talked about that, and I'm going to talk about that more in the youth episode. Can we really do a youth movement and analyzing our picks in recent years? But if this fumbles, if Yanic doesn't end up being an NBA player, I mean, I don't know. Clear out the entire scouting department. Clear them all out. As far as Jason Giambetti, who's like the VP of scouting or whatever, he said he's been with us for like 20 years. Or like 18 years. It was part of the Blake Griffin pick. So he's done some good things. But I don't know. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. I don't know who you want to put the blame on. But first of all, in terms of these guys coming in the league, I really don't care how high character they are. But I don't have to work with them all the time. Just give me some guys that can play in the NBA. That's all I care about. But hey, they've spent more time on it than I have. So I'm not going to criticize. I'm just going to root for Yanic. I think anybody could look good in highlights, but his highlights look sick in terms of his alley-oops, and there's some stuff there with Harden that I think could be great. We could really use a vertical threat. I just don't know if it'll be next season. It's going to be another long-term project, but eventually I want to see Cam Christie, Jordan Miller, and Kobe Brown, and Trenton Flowers, and Yanic get a chance to show some stuff. It's like you kind of have to accept the tank, and we don't have picks, so it makes it very hard. Can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, to check out what the watch party was like, including the reaction of Clipper fans when we picked Yanic and Ty Lue's interview. And of course, Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be talking to one of the beat writers on Friday, making his second appearance on the show. So tune in to see who that is. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube and hit the notification bell for all things LA Clippers. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers, go Yanic.